Shrutam me gopaya. Did we finish the meaning? So what is... So what are we doing here for Meda Kamasya? Japa, Japartham. Next one is Homartham. It's what we saw, right? Japa. So we need to do this as a japa every day. Okay. Hope you're doing it. Just once or twice. Japa means you repeat, but then once or twice is good. So yes, Chandasam Rushabho Vishwarupa. Okay. What does it mean? Chandasam Rishabha. Of the Chandas here means? What is Chandas? Vedic mantra here in this context you can take. Chandas also as meter. As we said, Chandayati, which pleases, that which protects Veda mantras. So of these Chandasa, Rishabha. What is Rishabha? Dominant. Yes. The best mantra is what? Best mantra. What are we talking about here in this mantra? In these 9 sentences here. Om. About Omkara Rupa Parameshwara, right? Omkara. Upa. Right? Talking about Omkara. Rishabhaiva. Omkara. It stands out. So then Chandobhyo Amrita Sambhabhuva. It as though sprang up. Sambhabhuva means, but then figuratively it means manifested, because Om is eternally present. So Indra here is that Parameshwara. Okay. So we're asking with this Medhaya Sprunotu. Prinayatu. Sprunotu could be may you fill, invigorate, Bhalai, even Balam also it could be. Amrutasya Devadharano Bhuyasam. May we become possessors of this Amruta, which is immortality of the, which is Vedanta Jnanam. Shariram me Vicharshanam. Did we complete it? Can chant? Chant once. This Chandasa. Yes, Chandasa. Yes, Chandasa Rishabhu.
Vishwarupaha Chandobhyo Yamrutat Sambhavuva Samendro Medhaya Sprunotu Amrutasya Devadharano Bhuyasam Shariram Me Vicharshanam Jihva me Madhumattama Karnabhyam Bhuri Vishruvam Brahmana Koshosi Medhaya Pihitaha Koshosi Medhaya Pihitaha Shrutam me Gopaya.
Shrutam me Gopaya. What we have learned, whatever it is, through the teachers, the Shravanam that we did, Vedanta Shravanam, may you protect, preserve. Gopaya. Vandana, you want to do? Unmute.
Hari Om. यश्छन्दसा मृषभो विश्वरूप
यश्चन्दसा वृषभो
यश्छन्दसा मृषभो
यश्चन्दसा
यश्छन्दसा मृषभो यश्छन्दसा मृषभो यश्छन्दसा मृषभो विश्वरूपः
छन्दोभ्यो
छन्दो
Cha is there, right? Mahapranaya cha.
छन्दोभ्योऽद्यमृतात्थसम्बभूव.
Don't split that. Chandobhyodhyamritaat sam. Even though it is tha is there, when you are combine that.
Okay. छन्दोभ्योऽद्यमृतात्सम्बभूव समेन्द्रो मेधया स्पृणोतु अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूया
Amrutasya devadharano bhuyasam.
अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूयासम्
Devadharano.
देवधारणो 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 भूयासम् शरीरं मे
Shariram me.
शरीरं मे विचर्षणम् शरीरं मे विचर्षणम् जिह्वा मे
Jihva me.
जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमम् जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमम् कर्णाभ्याम्
Karnabhyam.
कर्णाभ्याम् भूरिविश्रुवम्
Bhuri Vishruvam.
भूरिविश्रुवम् कर्णाभ्याम् भूरिविश्रुवम् ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया पिहितः
Medhaya pihitah.
मेधया पिहितः श्रुतं मे
Rutam me.
श्रुतं मे
Rutam me.
श्रुतं मे गोपाय
Gopaya. No swara there. Gopaya. That's it.
गोपाय श्रुतं मे गोपाय
Shrutam me Gopaya.
श्रुतं मे गोपाय
Gopaya.
गोपाय
Gopaya.
मे
So, Om also has that meaning. If you are asking, right? Om. In Sanskritam also there is a, in Dhatu, it comes from Av. That also, even though it's a sound symbol, that Dhatu is Av. To protect Avati. Avatumam, we say, right? So that Avati Rakshane, in the meaning of Rakshana, protection. That meaning also there from Sanskritam. But then basically it's a pratika, a sound symbol. So we are invoking Rameshwara himself. It is a very versatile mantra, right? Both Nirguna and Saguna can be invoked. In Mandukya, you see, right? That Vichara is done. Upasana is done and Vichara also. Through Vichara, of course, Nirguna Brahman. Uma Vichara. What does A stand for? U and Ma. Hope you've seen at least Mandukya. So, Om is a Parameshwara, Indra itself. So, Mantre Ishvara Buddhi, we say, right? Not Varna Buddhi. Varna means letter. So in mantra we see Ishvara Buddhi, not Varna Buddhi. Varna. Okay. Saligrame Vishnu Buddhi. Vishnu Buddhi, not Shila Buddhi.
Avahari Visheshana.
Let's read. Just start reading.
3 pages.
43, yeah. Just as a man of resounding knowledge, a genius of his age, is no more useful either to himself or to the society, but becomes only a liability if he be in a nursing home or an asylum. So too, a man with his knowledge and health, again, is a living threat to his society and will bring ultimately a blot upon the fair face of the sacred culture if he has not a sweet tongue. So madhumattama is done. That sweet tongue to express his ideas in an attractive way. An individual becomes really a pest on a generation if he has not got the tolerance to give a patient hearing to others and does not try to digest and assimilate the best in them. Fanaticism, intolerance are the cankers that eat up the best blossom in any period of history. Not only is such a fanatic individual always unhappy in himself, but his mission also will always end in marching his generation into a chaotic state of mutual hatred and general unpleasantness. Continue. So we're talking about that Madhumattama, right? That,
The mantra is grounded up with an assertion that Om is the sheath of Brahman. When we are invoking a power and requesting it to bless us with certain special strength and ability, we must know whether the invoked power has got the ability to fulfill our demand. Here it is said that Om is the very container for the Supreme. The sheath is invoked just as we do in our daily life, then we actually mean the contained. For example, bring the ink pot, pass me the cigarette case, and so on. In all such instances, the request is not a direct demand merely for the bottle or for the case, but it is a demand for the ink in the bottle or the cigarettes in the case. The mantra here says that the Om symbol is the sheath of Brahman, and therefore invoking Om is invoking the Supreme.
So that sheath of Brahman is which part talking about? Brahmana Kosho Asi. Brahmana Kosha. As though, because Brahman is can't be contained in a small kosha. Kosha is sheath, right? So it's as though a figurative expression, as though contained. So Om is the kind of a container for that, so that for our upasana purposes. Upalabdhi. Upalabdhi sthanam, we call it. That's what it's called. Apihita. It's as though Medayapi, it is the Om you're saying is the container, but then it's as though covered by Medaya. Earlier we said Meda is Grahana Dharana Shakti, right? We are praying for Meda Shakti only. But here, the last part of this is Medayapi Hitaha. By this Meda it is covered, is saying. What does it mean? Why again is saying? The Meda.
Brahman is covered by. No, Brahman is a container.
Om is
Om
as
is a
though
container.
a container, but it is Brahman is covered by the Medha, is saying. What Medha? Because Medha earlier we said is Medha Shakti, intelligence, or Grahana Dharana Shakti, retention, reception and retention of the Veda Vakyas. Then what is this Medha? Why is it covering?
Generally, Om is the
Let's say
bottle.
Kind of bottle.
And ink is the Brahman, or intellect, Meda is the Brahman.
In that example, Brahman, let's say.
Brahman.
Okay. As though, don't think Brahman is infinite. For Upalabdhi, it is available there. You say, right? It's available.
Vedaya apihita because
And it is covering, apihita.
covering ignorance is covering.
Meda means here. Here in this context, this last Meda is Laukika Prajna. Laukika. Worldly pursuits, knowledge, Aviveka. Okay. Kind of. It is covering because of my Laukika Prajna. Preoccupation, wandering, is covered as though apihita, covered. Pita, abhihita. Pihita, pihita, covered. So that's why you need viveka. What is that viveka? The other day we were. Yeah, what is the definition? You read that right in Tattvabodha? Then, because of our recovering, we are not seeing the Brahman, which is always available because of this Laukika Prajna.
So that point is not explained here.
Gurudev kind of didn't skip that. But then that's why we're asking Shrutam me Gopaya. So whatever we have learned through the scriptures, may you preserve because of our, we are too much immersed in this Laukika Vyavahara. It's right. Because Veda can only tell, it's only Jnapakam. It's not it can't make us do things. Even though Veda Vakyam is a commandment, we say, because if it is a commandment, everybody should have been following, all the Hindus, right? It is only saying, okay, please, this is what it is. If you have a desire, so generate it. It is generating, trying to generate a desire. Yeah. You're hoping that will follow. Okay.
No, that is right.
Yes. Yeah, that's Shraddha.
The faith and the belief or understanding. First of all, the right understanding is needed. Then
Yes.
maybe that's where, right, the intellect actually questions all these things. It may completely reject it. Maybe that's how it's covering it.
Yes.
It could be, right?
Yeah.
So
That's why we're invoking for the grace also.
That's why it's a japa.
Japa.
Mananam has to be done so that all those doubts will get clear.
Right.
Because in the teachers, these realized people are explaining this. They explain in such a way that they are established in it. And it's so convincing.
Yes.
But the thing is, we won't be getting it all the time, depending on our reception, right?
Yes.
Our clarification, reception, and all that. So, maybe that's why it's an Australia.
Yes.
Australian. Continue.
Good.
This mantra is repeated with extreme concentration regularly by the students who desired a more efficient memory and heightened intellectual capacity. In the very scheme of the different upasanas narrated in the textbook, the Rishi declares how an individual should plan out his great career in order to live fully the entire implications of the inimitable Sanatana Dharma. When an intellect has fully developed and the individual has acquired sweet speech and a mental readiness to receive new ideas on every occasion, such an individual bubbling with health is fit to pursue the ritual for wealth, which is to be prescribed now in order to acquire great wealth and rich fortune.
So now he is ready. See, as we said, he could be a brahmachari who is planning to establish for the sake of Brahma Yajna, the sake of Rishi, Runa. He wants to establish ashramas and invite brahmacharis from different corners. And so he's asking for wealth. It's not. So that's why after the prayer for Medha, right, he is asking for the wealth so that it can be used properly. Right? The way is Amedasaha Shrihi Anardhameva. Right? This is it is the hands of a Amedhasa, not a person who is a dharmic. It is Anardhayava. But then here the Yohoma is being done asking for different types of wealth, Lakshmi, Sri, first, using it for dharmic purposes only. So in a way, it is not really materialistic. If you read it, what are you doing? This Upanishad, which is going to Brahmavalli, why are they asking all this? We can,
So the asking for wealth is coming up now.
yeah, Homa. Here it is Japa is over now. Japa for Medha, Shakti, now Homa.
What is following is asking for
Yes, what is following? Avahanti Homa. It's a popular Homa. Even now people do it. Yeah. Avahanti Homa. Avahanti means coming. Anahanti, inviting Lakshmi Devi. That's it. It's
Here he said one thing, the mental readiness to receive new ideas and implication.
because he has prepared himself. Purified.
That translates as the openness.
Basically, walk shuddhi.
Vak Shuddhi is there, and he has received the because the Shravanam, he has received that knowledge. Both Veda Purva and Veda Anta also maybe kind of is completed, and then he's asking for well so that it can be used to spread the message of Rishis. Question? Fine? Okay. Let's start. Avahanti vitanvana kurvana chiramatmanah kurvana chiramatmanah vasagum simamagavascha vasagum simamagavascha annapane cha sarvada tato me shriyamavaha Yomasham pashubhis sahasvaha Amayantu brahmacharina svaha That amayantu followed by bra, ba and a repa. So that pause should be nice. Amayantu brahmacharina swaha. Amayantu brahmacharina. Instead of saying amayantu brahmacharina, amayantu brahmacharina swaha. Amayantu brahmacharina swaha. Vimayantu brahmacharina swaha. Brahmayantu brahmacharina swaha. Damayantu brahmacharina swaha. Shamayantu brahmacharina swaha. Yasho jane sani swaha. Shreyan vasya sosani swaha. Tantva bhaga pravishani swaha. Tantva bhaga pravishani swaha. Sama bhaga pravisha swaha. Tasmin sahasra shakhe. Nibagahan tvayimrje swaha. Because of the sandhi, gaham tva ta is there. Tat, right? Nibagahan, gahan, nibagahan tvayimrje swaha. Yetapah pravatayanti. यतापः प्रवतायन्ति यथा मासा अहर्जरम् एवं मां ब्रह्मचारिणः धातरायन्तु सर्वतः स्वाहा प्रतिवेशोऽसि प्रमाभाय प्रमापद्यस्व प्रतिवेशोऽसि प्रमाभाहि प्रमापद्यस्व Once again, you once chant. आवहन्ति वितन्वाना दुर्वाणा चिरमात्मनः वासागुंसि मम गावश्च अन्नपाने च सर्वदा ततो मे श्रियमावह लोमशां पशुभिः सह स्वाहा आमायन्तु ब्रह्मचारिणः स्वाहा आमायन्तु ब्रह्मचारिणः स्वाहा the pause of the before bha and repa, right? Vimayantu brahmacharinas swaha Vimayantu Ramayantu brahmacharinas swaha Damayantu brahmacharinas swaha Shamayantu brahmacharinas swaha Yashojane sani swaha Shreyan pasya sosani swaha Tantva bhaga pravishani swaha Sama bhaga pravisha swaha Tasmin sahasrashakhe Nibagahan tvayimrje swaha Yethapah pravatayanti Yethapah pravatayanti Yethamasa aharjaram Evam ma brahmacharinah Dhatarayantu sarvata swaha Prativeshosi pramabhahi pramapadyasva When you're transitioning to pra, prativeshosi prama, don't rush to prativeshosi prama. No. Same thing like brahmachari. Pramapadyasva. Whenever there is a samyukta vyanjana, that pause should be there. Prativeshosi pramapadyasva. Amayantu brahmacharina swaha. Like that. Again, this is also in the end, of course, he's asking for, even though in the wealth is asked, the initial phase of that homa, again in the end, said, let me merge with you. He's saying that Aikya, Jiva, Ishvara, Aikya. That bhava is there in the end again. There is not unmarried, anybody who is.
Oh, you and I don't need it.
Veda, Brahma or Veda.
Okay.
Vedardham charati, Brahmartham charati. Not Brahmati charati. When Brahmati means delusion is. Okay. Anybody do it?
Avahanti vitanvana kurvana chiramatmanaha vasagumsi mamagavascha annapane cha sarvada tato me shriyamavaha Omasham
Lomasham pashubhissaha
Lomasham pashubhissaha swaha Amayantu brahmacharina swaha
Amayantu
brahmacharina swaha Vimayantu brahmacharina swaha Pramayantu brahmacharina swaha Damayantu brahmacharina swaha Shamayantu brahmacharina swaha Yashojane sani swaha Shreyan vasya sosani swaha
Shreyan vasya sosani swaha
Shreyan vasya sosani swaha Tvantva bhaga pravishani swaha Sama bhaga pravisha swaha Tasmin sahasra shakhe Nibhagaham tvayimruje swaha
Again,
Nibhagaham
tvayimruje
Nibhagaham tvayimruje swaha
that r is Rutu Rashana Murda, right? Mrula R is Murda actually. Better if nice if it that Murda comes.
Nibhagahan tvayim
Mrje
Nibhagahan tvayim raje swaha Yatha pah pravatayanti Yatha masa aharjaram Evam mam brahmacharinaha Dhatarayantu sarvata swaha Iti veshosi pramabahi pramapadyasva.
So Kurvana Chiramatmana Avahanti Vitanvana. Just read a bit and then again chant. Who wants to read?
Avahanti, bringing, Vitanvana, multiplying, Purvana, producing, Achiram, without delay, Atmanaha, self, Vasagunsi, clothes, Mama, I, Gavaha, cows, Cha, and Annapani, food and drink, Cha, and Sarvada, for all time, Tataha. Afterwards, me, for me, Shriyam, prosperity, Avaha, bring, Domasham, dairy animals, Pashubhi, cattle, Saha, with, Swaha, Swaha, all along, Ma, to me, Yantu, may come, Brahmacharyaha, celibate students of Brahma Vidya, Swaha, Swaha, we, from various directions, Ma, to me, Yantu, may come, Brahmacharyaha, celibate students, Swaha, Swaha, Pra, much, in large numbers, Ma, to me, Yantu, may come, Brahmacharinaha, celibate students, Swaha, Swaha, Namayantu, be self-controlled, Brahmacharinaha, celibate students, Swaha, Swaha, Shamayantu, be peaceful, Brahmacharinaha, celibate students, Swaha, Swaha. O Lord. Afterwards, let prosperity be mine, consisting in heavy animals along with cattle. May fortune produce for me without delay and for all time, bringing continuously and in ever multiplying proportions, food and clothing and cattle. All along, may celibate students, thirsty to know, come to me, Swaha. May they come to me from distant places and from all directions. May they come in large numbers. May the students, anxious to gain the knowledge of Brahman, control their senses. May the students, anxious to live the knowledge of Brahman, be peaceful.
Gurudev is saying celebrate students in the literal sense also, but then later, of course, you can add that to anybody who is such of knowledge. So Swaha, that Swaha akara itself means it is used in Homa. Even though we are not doing Homa, but chanting also we have to do Swaha. Because it's Suaha. Actually, Swaha means the Devata will say, well offered or well said. Even though we are saying on the behalf of Devata.
Well said.
Well said. You can also take as well offered. In that context, well said actually. Yeah. Maybe the mantra has been well said or something. So afterwards means, because it starts with afterwards, tataha, means once we gain that mental purity from the japa, right, then we come to this.
Earlier, we were told of mantra to be used in japa, by which the discriminative intelligence and the retentive capacity of the student increases in greater proportions. Not only that he becomes intelligent, but also saw that the meaning of the mantra provides the student with certain mental vision, physical strength, and spiritual values. According to the Shastras, from the very order in which these upasanas are laid, it is quite evident that such an individual alone is fit to claim prosperity and fortune. Here we have the prescription for the sacred ritualism which is performed by those who desire wealth. Wealth in the hands of unprepared intellects and uncultured hearts is not only suicidal for themselves, but is a threat to the very stability of the society. In fact, in the world of ours today, our political and economic problems can all be traced to the lack of character in the rich men. Materialism in our scientific world has created such an appeal wherein the good at heart and the pure in intellect have little scope to gain wealth, while the unscrupulous and the dishonest can easily court fortune. When such a heartless head comes to wealth, he becomes a miniature Nero, setting fire to his society in order that he may enjoy his song in his own
licentious
freedom. The gunpowder kings cannot suffer for long their dull market, and therefore they plan to bring about wars at every short interval. In all relationships between the landlord and the tenant, or the employer and the employee, the king and the people, the master and the servant, everywhere there is a growing discontentment, because in the scheme of things available today, the unprepared individuals can, and they do, come by great fortune.
The Vaidika teachers have therefore indicated that desire for wealth can be a blessing only when the individual has been educated to entertain the noble qualities of the head and the heart and the enduring values of the spirit. In this portion, it is said, O Lord, afterwards meaning, after having blessed me with full discrimination, good health, the spirit of tolerance, and an irresistible impatience to serve others, confer on me good fortune. Without these qualifications, wealth becomes as dangerous a weapon as a loaded pistol in the hands of an innocent child, a threat to itself and maybe a threat to others around itself.
So afterwards, meaning, that's what Gurudev is saying. Afterwards it started, right? Tataha, tato me shriyamavaha. That tataha. Meaning, after having blessed me with full discrimination, good health, and the spirit of tolerance, irresistible impatience to serve others. It's only for serving others, not for self-aggrandizement. Confer on me good fortune. Continue.
The fortune demanded is typical of the times. Wealth was in those days measured in terms of cattle and sheep. Wool was essential because of the climatic conditions of the north. In those days, when jungles were full of trees and not as they are today, a mere story of historical tradition, when the Himalayas were not rendered bald by a caterpillar generation of profit-hunting governments and gain-mad contractors, goal was perhaps
Mm.
the necessity of life.
That is Lomasham Pashubhi, we're saying, right?
Yeah.
Lomasham Pashubhi. Woolly animals.
He doesn't like all these these today's
Yeah. Profit,
profit or
hunting ornaments,
yeah.
gain
He's
mad.
talking about that a lot.
Yes.
Wealth was demanded not as a fulfillment in itself, but they recognized that riches can be justified and enjoyed only by the missions that it fulfills. If wealth were to be idle and one knows only how to enjoy it as a dispenser of confidence and assurance of having a high bank balance, he knows not how to milk his wealth to yield a greater joy unto himself. Here the teacher is giving the right turn of mind to the growing disciples so that they may, when they are fit, desire for immense wealth for a great noble cause, namely for running universities where students are served and looked after. The rich are the trustees of the illiterate and the needy.
The trustees of the illiterate people. So he's basically asking for right? Karma Yogi as a Grihastha, we are supposed to do all the Pancha Maha Yajnas. Wealth for that only, so that we are prepared for Dhanam Dharmartham. They say. Dharma is preparation for Vijnana Khanda. Right. Hindi word want
To say that Hinduism recognizes no missionary zeal is to misread our sacred books. We may justify the statement in as much as Hinduism, the perfect science of peace and love, universal in its outlook, has for itself the goal of human evolution, and therefore it has no ugly proselytization viewpoint in itself. And so, compared with the mischief of such foreign institutions, we are today making unhappy gashes of the national integrity and the cultural heritage of this sacred land. We may say that Hinduism is not missionary at all, but the sacred zeal with which the rishis took upon themselves the noble cause in the spread of their sacred knowledge and the truths of their culture was nothing less than the zeal with which Saint Paul came to the East. Every student was charged with this divine duty of spreading the Hindu culture in his own lifetime among his own people and the foreigners who might reach them seeking the way.
Spread the Hindu culture. That is called as Brahma Yajna or Rishi Runa. You know, right? What is continue, Vandana.
The ambition of each student has been thus molded by the teachers at the very time of their early initiation. They invoke the Lord through their rituals, and both the teacher and the taught demanded together that students of intelligence and self-control, of moral and ethical purity, of emotional stamina and psychological stability, should constantly reach them from all directions, from far and near. This healthy spirit of propagation got itself choked in the poisonous atmosphere of secularism and the criminal monopoly of knowledge that was practiced by some erring generation somewhere in the near past. That suicidal policy has today brought the Hindus where they are, and their scriptures have become a laughing stock for the whole world. Here we are discussing the very sacred book itself, in which it is so clearly said that the goal and ambition of every student were to be that he would be able in his lifetime to get ample chances to train and perfect the next generation to carry on the torch of knowledge, trimmed and bright, as he himself got it from his own teacher. Wow. Very nice.
Continue. Sunita.
Okay.
Vedanta being not only a theory of perfect life, but also a technique of perfect living, the Hindu culture can be imparted efficiently and successfully only to those who are willing and ready to live these values. This is indicated by the demand of the worshipper that the students of Brahma Vidya who reach the halls of study must have ample self-control in the outward life and calmness in their inward living.
So all these adjectives we use, right? That's what Gurudev just says in 1 or 2 sentences. So that vi, pra, da, sha. See that? Where are they? Vi, pra, da, vimayantu. You can remember like that. Vipradasha. Vipradasha. Vimayantu, pramayantu, damayantu, shamayantu. Vivida kamaihi. The varied interests, let them come. He's asking. Brahmacharis with Vivida Kamaha, varied interest in studying various subjects which the Guru is imparting. Pra. What is pra? Pragnaya saha. Can say pragna. Pramayantu. Right, is it? Da, of course, is damena saha. Damayantu. Damayana. Sha, shamena. We are seeing the same thing in it. Shamadama. In Tattvabodha last week. So this is covered up to this Shamayantu Brahmacharina Swaha. And then Avahanti Vitanvana Purvana Chiramatmanaha means it has 2 meanings. Chiramatmanaha. That word self. So it has 2 Achiram and Chiram. If it is Achiram, means quickly, without delay. Chiram means bring and keep it for a long time. Chiram means long. So it has 2 meanings. Chiramatmana. Bring this wealth very quickly. Or let me retain it for a long time. Chiram. Gavaha, Vasagumsi, clothes, all this. Annapanam, Shriyam, Avaha. Ravina, you can chat.
Avahanti vitanvana kurvana
Chiramatmanaha.
Chiramatmanaha Urvana Chiramatmanaha Vasagum Simamagavascha Andapane cha sarvada Tato me shriyamavaha Lomasham pashubhisahasvaha Amayantu brahmacharina swaha Vimayantu brahmacharina swaha Pramayantu brahmacharina swaha Damayantu brahmacharina swaha Shamayantu brahmacharina swaha Yashodhani saniswaha Shriyan vasya niswaha Tantva bhaga pravisha niswaha Samam
Samabhaga.
Samabhaga pravisha swaha. Samabhaga pravisha swaha. Tasmin sahasrashakhe nibhagahan tvayibhrije swaha. Nibhagahan tvayibhrije swaha. Yatha pravataayanti. Yatha pravataayanti. Yatha masa aharjaram. Evam mam brahmacharinaha
Dhatarayantu.
Dhatarayantu sarvata swaha. Dhatarayantu sarvata swaha. Prativeshosi.
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 Prative all. Prativesho. Prativesho.
Prativeshosi pramabahi pramapadyasva.
Got it. That prativesho. Show. After that is the avagraha, right?
Long.
Avagraha means not always a sandhi. In yathapa also two avagrahas are there. That is not just to indicate. The publisher is just using that indication. Yet yatapha, there is no, just say it is a is there. Yata a. And then but either prativeshos is purva rupa sandhi. Prativesha. That o and a combines prativeshosi. That is sandhi is that. Purva rupa also has that avagraha chihnam. Let's do last 2 minutes. Again. Avahanti vitanvana Purvada chiramatmanah Vasagum simamagavascha Annapane cha sarvada Tato me shriyamavaha Pacham pachubis sahasvaha Amayanto brahmacharina swaha Vimayanto brahmacharina swaha Brahmayanto brahmacharina swaha Damayanto brahmacharina swaha Shamayanto brahmacharina swaha Yasho jane sa niswaha Shreyan pasya sosa niswaha Tantva bhaga pravisha niswaha Sama bhaga pravisha swaha Tasmin sahasrashakhe Nibhakahan tvayimraje swaha Yatha pravatayanti Yatha masa aharjaram Evam ma brahmacharinaha Dhatarayantu sarvata swaha Prativeshosi pramapadyasva. So A plus U is what? O. A plus O is